Let's get a quick take on Denver District Attorney Beth McCann announcing on Thursday that the police officers who handcuffed and detained Colorado Independent editor Susan Greene will not face any charges. Natasha Gardner, articles editor of 5280, I guess I'm not terribly shocked because you didn't see a whole lot of crimes being committed here, at least from the outside looking in, but still a surprising event. And as a fellow editor of another publication, how do you feel seeing this event go down?
Well, I think what's interesting to me is if anyone thought that these sort of moments, you know, how the police interacts with our community would disappear from headlines, that's not the case. It's very much still in headlines, and for good reasons. Another headline that came out related to police this week actually involves an ongoing pilot in Denver where we're looking at when police make stops. We're going to be gathering more demographic information about the people involved in that. So that could be age, gender, the officer's perception of race, and the idea is that we can start having a better idea of bias that might be involved or not involved in those situations. So I thought that between these two headlines, it's an interesting moment to reflect that this issue is not going away. We will continue to be talking about it both on the show, but in Denver and Colorado for a long time.
I totally agree. Join us, Krista Kafer, columnist of the Denver Post. Krista, do you think we should expect to hear anything from the new Denver police chief that maybe doesn't address any particular something that happened illegally, but I guess behavior that shouldn't have happened, or at least address how this went down? This sounded like it was kind of a pretty smarmy First Amendment sort of a thing, at least from the outside looking in.
Yeah, I'm sure things were said internally, but I think about what was said to Greene, the act like a lady, totally inappropriate, handcuffing her, totally inappropriate. But I also understand where the police are coming from. Here they have a mentally disturbed man on the ground who's naked. They're trying to take care of him and trying to assess the situation. Is there danger here? Danger both to the person, to the public. It was just one of those difficult moments where people could have acted better and didn't. I think we put the incident behind us. I'm sure some guidelines have been issued internally. I think we move on.
Eric Sonnen, political analyst. If anything has been said internally, would it be a positive move for the Denver police to talk about that, hey, we look at this situation, we want to respect the First Amendment, but we were trying to address these issues. Do we need more explanation?
Well, I think I'd start by saying I can understand where this police officer was coming from. I mean, some of us around this table know Susan. What a menacing figure. I mean, she is well north of 100 pounds, at least 5'5", maybe 5'6" tall. I could see why this person felt under some kind of mortal threat. In all seriousness, it was inappropriate. I get where Beth McCann is, that her job is to prosecute crimes, and if you can't get a conviction, or if there's not necessarily even a crime there, it's not her job to take it to trial, and that's probably an unfair use of prosecutorial authority. I still would have liked to see Beth McCann herself come out with some kind of statement, and or the police chief, and or the mayor, saying that while this is not necessarily prosecutable, it's one thing, as Krista said, just to handle it internally. I think something like this needs to be handled externally and publicly with some kind of responsible official saying, this is not how we're going to do business in this city.
Joey Bunch, Deputy Managing Editor at Colorado Politics. Thanks for rounding out the panel here, Joey. There's a lot of things we can say around this table that should happen. Do you think any of those will happen?
Well, there are things that should happen, and a law was broken here. In 2015, that the legislature passed the right to record law. Beth McCann supported that law. I looked it up this morning, and now she's thrown that law out the window. You know, she's been DA for a couple of years now. She had a clear opportunity to side with the law or side with the police, and she sided with police. But I should say in full disclosure that I've been friends with Susan Greene for 16 years, and there are a lot of good reasons to slap cups on Susan Greene, but this wasn't one of them.
Indeed, indeed.